What is up, lads? You're with Budgetmonk, and welcome to the first, I suppose, update of my series here. The second episode. Things are going swimmingly, lads. As the nation of Castile, you can see it says Castilian Iberia here, and that is because I have successfully moved my capital to our newly found colony. Now, let me just say that there was one thing that I'm going to be quite frank, I did kind of forget about, and that is that you have to unstate your territory in order to move your capital city. So, in order to unstate your territory, you have to remove the estates. And we've just gone ahead and removed all of the nobility as they were basically pissed off anyway. And we're currently at peace. We're doing okay in terms of manpower and stuff. But yeah, obviously, if we remove one or two provinces from the clergy, they're pissed off with us. If we remove any more, there's basically a rebel faction in each individual province. So it's a little bit brutal in that sense, but that is one of our requirements. Now, as you can see here, guys, the year 1501, we have obtained the Burgundian inheritance. Fantastic. This has been, no joke, probably the luckiest game I felt like I have ever had. And how about that? It has been the first try. Feels good, man. You can check my stream and everything, the VODs. This is a one-shot kind of deal around here, and everything went absolutely swimmingly. So we actually got the Queen Isabella event, who unfortunately has only recently passed away. She had very good stats. Currently, our ruler, as far as I'm concerned, has good stats. We're interested in Diplo in particular. And our current heir has decent stats. However, our ruler was low, weak claim, and this is average claim, but not too bad. To be honest, I mean, we're 19 years old here. We could try to get a better roll on the Diplo in particular. I don't know. Give me your comments, guys. Give me your feedback. I quite like this, and especially the 6 is going to help us expand, because hopefully we're going to be able to expand. But yeah, it was about 5 years into the game, we got Queen Isabella, and we had a legitimate queen. Aragon had a legitimate king, and we obtained the Iberian wedding extremely early, which also meant we were able to obtain the personal union over Portugal extremely early. You can see we successfully fed him, no problem, and he skipped the colonial ideas. We also then basically got the Burgundian inheritance just completely and utterly for free. I had a royal marriage. It went to me when he was fighting Provence, who was also fighting France, and it went to me. Fantastic. Not only that, as if that was not enough, Byzantium existed. In fact, why don't I show you guys here? If we go to the timeline, the Ottomans apparently, see, I didn't even notice what was going on in this theater at the time, but it took him multiple wars, and he was left there with Moria. Pretty outstanding stuff. I haven't really seen that happen. We did do the best CB, of course, when I saw this opportunity to actually vassalize Byzantium. And not only that, I was then, in the beginning of this streaming session, my most recent one, I was very nervous about such a good game that we had going on, but I wanted to undermine the Ottomans before they got out of control. In his first war against the Mamelukes, he looked the most vulnerable. And you know what's really crazy, guys? This felt like really like a hack, to be honest. France rivaled us from the beginning of the game. You can see they hate us right now. But when I moved my capital to this island, they were no longer a valid rival. How crazy is that? And they unrivaled me. Considering we both have a common enemy over England and so on, I was able to ally him up, and he then proceeded to rival the Ottomans. Crazy stuff. And the reason he unrivaled me is apparently because he could not see our capital. And I have noticed that the Ottomans and the Muscovites, it's very difficult to get a rivalry early between the two of those nations. And the reason why is if you play the Ottomans, you cannot see Moscow. So that's obviously the rule. We can also see that for some reason, he got the inheritance, which is superb of him. But what happened was the surrender of Maine, England just conceded the land to him. And then there was actually a long period of peace. So at the point in which I moved my own capital after making this colony, I simply allied France, we attacked England, and we gave France land to gain favors, and then we were able to call him in, along with randomly allying Poland. Poland was heading the Ottoman Empire and actually friendly with us, so we called him in to promise him land, and combined, we were able to defeat the Ottomans. It was a very scary war, though, I must admit, but he also lost his war against the Mamluks, hence some of the return core here, and feels good, man. That really, really feels good. In other news, France is scary now because he can see our capital once again. He was starting to run out of valid rival options, and he went straight from an ally to an enemy with the dumping down the rivalry back on us, almost like he knew we manipulated him. But if we go ahead and look at our culture, yeah, that's what we look like right now. One of the really cool things about this run that I'm going to enjoy is in my previous one, cultures, people who didn't really understand the concept of Diplo banking would always constantly ask me, how does the culture look? How does the culture look? Keep in mind, this is Portuguese. It's not Castilian. And of course, the culture pretty much looked the same the vast majority of the game because we were Diplo banking until the end of the game. But what's fun about this is we are actually spreading the culture, and we will continue to do so as much as I can. I'm trying to sort of utilize catch-up mechanics as we are ahead in Diplo. We spend it. Now, speaking of which, guys, I ended the stream right at the point we spawned colonialism. We were able to spawn colonialism, which apparently we were the only nation in the world to discover the New World yet. I can see that England has just dropped exploration ideas, but he had the 000 ruler for a long time, so he's pretty just doing bad in general. Bad. I don't know why my voice is breaking. That usually doesn't happen. So this was 100 of each monarch point, which is really nice. Really, really nice. And hopefully we can get colonialism without too much difficulty. Now, with that being said, guys, I've got a little bit of an issue. I did drop, because I was sort of so far ahead, try to convert these. I did drop conversions on all of these. I went for Zealand after exploiting it because it was the lowest development to try to spread Castilian out here. And we also used the Holy Order to have reduced cost here. But we're pulling ahead in our Diplo, and I'm running out of area that we own that can be converted. So it's pretty inefficient, if you will, with our Diplo points, and I want to be as efficient as possible. I'm unable to really expand because we need more development in the New World to move our capital. Developing in the Old World is a bad idea, so if anything, if my Diplo was going to go to waste, it would be developing up the New World. However, again, it's wasting it compared to converting provinces, so I am converting provinces here. I will be retracting these. You can see they've only progressed for the 0.4, so like less than a month probably. But yeah, I'm not too worried about that. Like, you could say that that is Diplo banking. I'm not going to retract that one, obviously. It's at 14%. But I'm not too worried about any kind of actual rule like that, you know, like that's clearly not Diplo banking. I'm not trying to take advantage of that because I have a more efficient idea of what we can do with our Diplo points while we're ahead here. And that is actually begin integrating Naples. It's already been 50 years. I'm going to begin integrating Naples and Byzantium at the same time. That's what I'm going to do, and hopefully, yeah, my Diplo points will be spent there, which is a wiser thing to do. Now, you might ask, but if we integrate these countries, we'll have more development in Europe. Well, guys, I actually, due to taking Tangiers, you can see the strategic interest in taking Tangiers, which is Castilian and Catholic, by the way, but taking that in my first war, as well as feeding Portugal against Morocco, we were able to get present on 2 continents completed. I also got Hold 3 Thrones completed extremely early in the game because, like I said, about 5 years in, obviously Renaissance comes down the line, and also Discover America. So we're killing it in regards to these age bonuses, and this one is absolutely spectacular. +1 development to each kind of development in each province. So it's 3 dev overall, and this is how much we have progressed in the New World. Being the solo colonizer here, we have successfully gotten our 4 colonists. I've been using this bonus here with 50% uprising chance reduction and 50% native assimilation. However, we just unlocked our policy if I can find it, where are your policies, which has 50% reduced uprising chance and 20% global settler increase. Beautiful. So there's 0 uprising chance now at this stage and for the rest of the game as long as we hold that policy. But also as Castile, of course, we've taken certain bonuses like this one here, settler increase. I got an event for colonial enthusiasm. We've got 20% increased settler chance. And of course, each of these, we've been going for the highest development province. For example, this is 11 in the beginning of the game. But we get +1 to each, and it's currently at 18. The reason it's at 18 is because I've also been ahead in my military points, and I've just been developing the New World to help me move my capital out there sooner to alleviate some of the pressure that we're encountering. The point is, I'm going to begin integrating these so that they finish once my capital's over in the New World so we can get the game rolling even more smoothly. So the worst possible colony that we could place is 3 development. I'm currently working on this, like I said in the previous episode, to finish this port to be able to explore up here and have more opportunities to colonize because I'm running out. We have done 4 inside of the Caribbean. We're chilling at, look how large some of these are. These were 10s. Jamaica's 14. Those are all 14s. 18s. In Louisiana, this is 10 ordinarily, but it results in 13. These are 5s, which are pretty bad, but they result in 8. And 4, which will result in 7. Mexico is genuinely terrible. As far as I can tell, there are no provinces above 3 development, but there will be 6s that I can colonize in the Mexican region. Perhaps up here, there's some that are at least above 3. We'll find out. Either way, the East Coast basically has 4, I believe, which are size 10, which are easily the best, aka 13. Most of them are much lower than that, but we certainly have the best ones. I'm confident of that. And Canada is quite appallingly bad. This one is actually 11 initially, being 14 in our case. Otherwise, it's mostly 5s. I can see this one inland is 7 development, so this can be our best bet. If this does move, this little native here, I'll be dropping that down, which is 10. Now, the point is, we're quite highly developed, guys. These are serious provinces if you think about it. I mean, a province like Seville is 17. Even if you take away the actual development that we've done, those provinces in the New World are 10 dev, plus 3 is 13. I mean, they're genuinely pretty big provinces for the beginning of the game without development. I mean, much larger than the majority of my provinces at home. So I've done a quick calculation here, and as of the end of last session, we have 188 development in the New World, which every province is inside North America. And we have 269 development in this area. So 269, not including this. So 188. We're pretty close. We're pretty close. We're about, I don't know what the difference is there between that off the top of my head, maybe 75 or something. So at this rate, dropping colonies, like that's 10. You see, we colonize pretty quickly. We're going to get there. I think if I start integrating both these nations at the same time, they will both kind of slow down. We can check here through Byzantium that it takes a whopping almost 1,000 Diplo to integrate them. And yeah, that is the plan. Now, again, I did not include this area, so my plan in regards to this area is to basically release Burgundy. And that is the main reason why I said I'm going to retract some of these, is because, yeah, we could wait 10 years maybe, but I suspect in about 10 years, we're going to be wanting to move our capital to the New World, and the sooner we do that, the better, because then we can genuinely expand in Europe with different means than just diplomacy. But yeah, I will be cancelling these cultures, which have progressed 0, and we're awfully juiced up on our Diplo, so that's pretty much it, guys. Look at that spectacular game. We've been, right now, due to the difference of technology, we are the world's greatest power, but obviously Ming has OP development in the beginning, but we have been the world's greatest power with the exception of Ming, in this case, period, for a long time. This was probably the quickest game I've ever had that occur. We had it as soon as we had the Burgundian inheritance and the Iberian wedding, which were around the same time. Incredible. Look at that game. Pretty good, man. Pretty good. I was pooping myself fighting the Ottomans. It was really hard. And quite frankly, guys, the French are super intimidating. They've unlocked their morale of armies. They've been doing good keeping ahead in technology. And they have their they have the French morale and the morale from defensive ideas. This is exactly what they did in my previous one culture run, where I was playing as the Austrians, and fighting the French guys. Obviously, they're like a lucky nation or whatever, and they have good generals. Dude, these guys were brutal. They're so intimidating. So I would say we've done a pretty good job. I'm satisfied with that. He basically lost 2 wars. I'm honestly satisfied to sort of just work around other areas, and I think by the time we get to the point we want to days for the Ottomans, we will crush them. But we do wish to undermine the French, which is a problem, and obviously they're a Catholic, so we're going to struggle with a CB here. But I'm thinking that, yeah, we will release Burgundy, and Reconquest is a good way to get a decent amount of development here and weaken France without too much aggressive expansion issues. So that's the plan. In other news, he actually took Liège because the empire is falling apart. It's still strong enough for us on very hard difficulty that it's a little bit intimidating at the current moment to just go YOLO, as that's the emperor's diplomacy. You know, even Austria, even though he's not the emperor, he's on very hard. Like, this is nothing to just shrug off. But for the French, it is. And he went into Liège. Mixed feelings about that. Obviously, Liège is the province required to actually take the missions once we form Spain to PU England and Austria. But we'll be able to get it from France, it appears, at some stage if we can just successfully undermine him. Unfortunately, both of his 2 enemies, the Ottomans and the English, are also our enemies. So we won't have any help against the French right now. And I didn't even notice before I ended the last session, they are straight up expanding once again into Provence. So this guy's a bit of a savage. He's my biggest threat and concern right now. And think about how if we dowed him, I mean, he's got all this land to just sort of go into here if we're not here, and vice versa. If we station our troops here, vice versa. So it's a bit of a challenge there, but it's interesting stuff. One more thing and final thing, guys, is it was brought to my attention via the comments in the previous video. You cannot form Spain diplomatically, guys, if your capital is outside of Iberia. Didn't know that one. Didn't take that one into consideration, so that sucks. What can I say? I have some thoughts about Aragon, and I know in the case of Austria, you do have a chance to automatically inherit them, but that's because of course, Austria ends up having 3 reputation. He's got 2 right there with Habsburg dominance, but he gets 1 from being Austria via an event until the end of the game. And in that case, we took both diplomatic and influence. We fed Aragon 2 provinces, and he also managed to expand down here. So I really don't know if we will have any chance to inherit him at all. You can see there it's negative 23%. But our reputation is, we've got a -1. Our legitimacy is poor. We are going to be going for influence. And maybe, yeah, I mean, trading in ivory and stuff. My thoughts were, if we want to postpone forming Spain in order to use the event that occurs to really effectively convert a lot of land. And in order to do that, number 1, we're going to need a lot of land that's not our culture to dump those points into. And number 2, I would like to already have reached the parliamentary bonus as well as religious and influence. So it's definitely down the line that we want to form Spain. But basically the bad news is we might just have to integrate him nonetheless. I could definitely see us just straight up integrating Aragon, unfortunately. I will say lastly that we have a little bit of an awkward situation because I'm going to want, once I've successfully converted all of the culture of these natives in the New World, as well as surrounded the New World, and that includes Australia, I will want to form Rome ASAP to basically take advantage of all the trade, the colonists, the foursome, etc. of the colonial nations and lose the too many territories, which is affecting our corruption. But with that being said, I probably want to postpone forming Spain for as long as possible for the culture cost reduction, like I said, or until the moment is right. So I had a good idea, which is to basically take Vienna and London and York from England, and you can still use the missions, regardless of how they feel about you, to PU them after that moment. And also, forming Rome does not change your mission tree. So that is a pretty good idea. Is we're not going to really pressure ourselves to form Spain early based on PUing Austria and England, if that makes any sense at all. We could, I suppose, we could try to actually ally Austria, and yeah, he is no longer the emperor. And I've noticed typically when they lose emperorship, once they get a militaristic ruler, they have a tendency to go crazy, like expand wherever they can. That includes inside the empire. So probably the bigger and the larger he is, the more juicy that personal union would be, because I'm not just worried about my Diplo points. I'm also worried about simply, you know, dominating the entire world at an early enough stage where separatism has gone away, and consuming a personal union is a good way to do that. Hopefully, with the late game admin efficiency, we can integrate them nice and easily. So that's it, guys. I wanted to update you guys. Next streaming session, I expect to move my capital over to the New World. I'm going to store the nice amount of Diplo points we've been gaining, 13 per month currently, by annexing both of these nations at the same time. And as soon as we move our capital to the New World, we're going to start expanding, boys. We have the ability to expand everywhere that we can. That's pretty much it. I'm excited. Part of me is still very doubtful on multiple levels that this is possible, but we are certainly going to give it our best effort. If there is a game to do it, this is it. I guess I'll just leave you guys by saying that Poland sucks in the beginning of the game. He was behind in technology and everything, but he's catching up. He's got a pretty good ruler right now. And yeah, he is having a good game overall. You can see he's taken all of Slovakia, and we did have to give him a province down here, unfortunately. But he will be forming the Commonwealth, of course, as well as unlocking his Polish ideas. And we're really hoping that he's kind of going to be our saving grace. And as his enemies, he pulls ahead of his enemies, perhaps, if we keep expanding in Asia, he will help us against the French, the Polish to save the day. The winged hussars will arrive, boys. Catholic gang. Hope you guys enjoyed the update. It's totally PogChamp, and make sure to tune in live, guys. I'm going to be live after posting this video. So if you're available, come say hi. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you later.